Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. In our top stories, a 6-week-old baby given birth to in the bush in the southwest region of Cameroon needs a serious head surgery. The 6-week-old baby, whose father was shot dead, should be noted, was being raised in the bush by the poor mother, who is now begging on persons of goodwill and equally organizations to assist to save the life of her baby that is now hanging on a twine. And equally in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast, we'll tell you how a former Supreme Court judge, Barrister Ayapol Abine, has confirmed the military has been killing, burning villages and equally torturing persons in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. He was reacting in the program La Verite on Fast on Sunday. That was after serious accusations by Human Rights Watch that has equally published a report that's accusing the military of continuous killings and equally gross human rights abuses in the two English-speaking regions of the country rocked by the Anglophone crisis. Details and more in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast. Good evening to you once more. Welcome. This is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. We begin with a story where a 6-week-old baby was being given birth to in the forest that is in the restive southwest region of Cameroon, has his head under serious condition and it needs a critical surgery, and the life of the baby, whose father was shot dead, is now hanging on a twine. The poor mother who gave birth to the baby, who was nursed the pregnancy in the forest and later delivered the baby under tough circumstances in the forest, is begging on persons of goodwill and equally persons belonging in humanitarian organizations to assist to save the life of her baby. Details in this report compiled by our Southwest Regional Correspondent, Derek Jato.
1 month, 2 weeks old Alex in pain. And Akamen Prudencia, mother to Alex, is giving her best to keep her only son alive.
They say the beginning he get problem. He get water for inside where they get for operate the head. They move water for inside the head. I don't get no peace. I don't get nothing. I don't only cry as the beginning cry. Me so I cry. The comfort the beginning need the feet to sleep for night.
She is alone.
The power the beginning blood die where they kill her for stray bullets.
Her husband was shot and killed in Munyenge when she was just 2 weeks pregnant with Adi Alex. She was lucky to escape.
More goes to stay inside bush.
And she has been in the bush until when she gave birth to Alex. Akamen Prudencia has never been in the hospital from when she conceived.
No, I didn't inside bush. I never go clinic.
She put to bed in the bush. She's never done any ANC, no care after delivery. This is the first encounter the child has had in the hospital. This thing would have been maybe prevented if the woman had, for example, done ANC.
Dr. Chejo William and his team are the one on the case.
So for this baby, we think it's a congenital malformation that has led to the accumulation of the fluid, what they call cerebrovascular fluid, within the skull. And that's why the child's head is that big, because fluid keeps on accumulating and the body cannot reabsorb that fluid. So for her, she will need a surgical intervention. But unfortunately, the mother is from one of the crisis regions of the southwest. What we have been trying to do for her is just to plead with anybody who can assist us in order for us to save this child and to prevent any brain damage. If nothing is done, the child will have permanent neurological damage. She has nothing with her, as I said, not even a frown.
And that is why Akamen Prudencia is begging people of goodwill to help her son. She doesn't have the money for the surgery.
I beg, I want me to help me for this pikin. Me the pikin not die. Me the help for save the life for the pikin for me. Asha that day, Asha.
Their farms that used to feed and take care of them is today a death trap. The war in the Anglophone regions took the life of her husband, and her prayer now is that help should come and stop sickness from taking away the life of another loved one. Auntie Alex, Akamen Prudencia and her baby are at the Mount Mary Hospital in Boya. She left the Munyenge bush to this hospital for help. They are from Munyenge, one of the most hit localities in Moyoka subdivision, Fako division, here in the southwest region of Cameroon.
And former Supreme Court Judge Barrister Aya Paul Abine confirms that the Cameroonian military has been killing innocent civilians, burning villages, and equally breaking into homes, torturing people in Anglophone Cameroon. Barrister Aya Paul Abine vomited this bitter truth as he describes it in the program La Vérité en Face on Equinox Television Sunday. That was he was responding to questions on the socio-political and humanitarian situation in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Take a listen.
We of the Aya Foundation are on the field. Would you tell me that people dressed in military uniform, who stop us escorting somebody wounded to the hospital and extract that person from the ambulance and kill, need any more proof? Do we need any more proof? Would you say, for instance, that my driver since 1998 was in the hospital at Bingo Annex Mutengene, and the next person to his bed, I went there, not that somebody recounted to me, somebody next to his bed was removed by the military and killed at Likomba. What other proof do we need? Those are facts. Only yesterday, the military broke into a house in Biame and killed a whole family. Before then, they broke into a house at Widikum and killed a teacher with all the 7 members of the family, including his wife. I've had a situation where a madman was killed before me, and it is said he was probably an Amba boy who was pretending to be mad. A madman in front of the stadium. Killing now in Ambazonia is for fun, for the fun of it. It's some kind of sadism that people take delight. I'm saying this, I don't know what happens to me after this, but I should tell the truth so that people should know what is happening in the area. Look, let me tell you that today in Ambazonia, if you're a landlord and you ask your tenant for rent, he can just call B and say, there's an Amber boy here, or this man is being visited by Amber boys. They come and shoot you without any investigation. I am saying this and I take responsibility for what I am saying. I've never been afraid to tell the truth. The Amber boys, I'm not defending them. The Amber boys control large areas in what used to be known as Southern Cameroons or West Cameroon. They don't do those things to the people. It is the military who are belligerent, who come and commit those atrocities. I am saying it and I'm prepared to appear before any authority in the world, including Mr. Paul Biya, and tell him that this is what I know and this is what I have seen. The whole world says, look, let us stop killing. Let us stop killing innocent people. Let us dialogue. And the government says there's no dialogue. They are going to win the war.
And Barrister Aya Paul Abine said the situation in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon is off the control of governments, though some government authorities are preaching peace and stability steadily return. The retired Supreme Court judge added that government does not control 1/3 of Anglophone Cameroon. Take a listen to him once more.
In Ambazonia today, the government does not control 1/3 of the territory. The Dios have escaped the mayors when the governor is traveling from Buea to Kumba. He's in bulletproof jackets. Look, I've been in Buea since first week of October 2017. Virtually consistently. Except when I come out like today to spend the night in Douala. Virtually consistently. Even in Buea, if anybody tells you that outside GRA, Buea Station, part of Buea Town and part of Great Sopo, the government is in control of any territory, there is a lie. If you get to Mutengene, you travel up to Kumba, you may see 1 or 2 government checkpoints. You see a government checkpoint 30 meters away, you are seeing Amber checkpoint. So anybody saying that the situation is returning to normal is telling a lie, a blatant lie, not just a lie. And that is what is killing this country. We would have solved this problem a long time ago, but for the lies that they keep telling. All those things are lies. You go to certain places, it is the Amber boys who are, collecting taxes, who are setting up courts to judge people. Let me tell you, if the government is driving, the military is driving from Kumba, from Buea to Kumba, they are not controlling anything. They may drive. The people, the opposite camp, doesn't have tanks, doesn't have sophisticated weapons. They cannot confront them. They allow them to pass. But they're controlling nothing. I am saying this not because I'm against anybody, but it is a statement of fact. Why are we telling lies? Only the truth can set us free. Let us face facts and we resolve this problem. Outside that, or like the questions people are asking me here, outside that, we are just wasting our time. And what is more dangerous, to repeat what I've already said, is that the people now, these young people, who are going through all the torments, they'll be more violent than those who are contesting whatever now. The government is fighting Amber boys. The government declared the war. The government cannot tell them, drop your arms. If the government of Cameroon did not declare war, and we're fighting against some armed groups, it's different. Once you declare war, and I'm insisting on that word, I'm standing on that word, declare. Once you declare war, the rules, the international rules of warfare apply. And that's why people can be charged with war crime, with crime against humanity, and the rest of it. If you don't declare war, it's a different...
And on the humanitarian issue concerning those who have been displaced so far by the Anglophone crisis, Barrister Ayapola Bine notes that the number is over 1.5 million. And talking about school resumption, he says no one should be obliged to send their children to school when there has not been a ceasefire in the war zones. Take a listen.
I'm talking about Ambazonians, that Ambazonians who were previously known as Southern Cameroonians and then West Cameroonians are in the neighborhood of 5 million. Some people are talking of 8 million, but if they say 1,500,000 are displaced, to me it is even a conservative figure. What we see when we go to camps like Anyake in Ogoja, we go to the Benue State, we come to EQUINOXE, we go to the forests. If you know the number of people in the forests, it is a disaster. Look, you cry if you went to the forest to see how people, human beings, are living. There are more than that. In the country here, I hear somebody saying 152. I don't know how he came about those figures. 152. How does anybody stay in Yaoundé and get the figures?
Besides a ceasefire, what else should be done to ensure an effective back to school?
Once there's cessation of hostilities, the schools will function without anybody. I've already said that none of us here can tell a parent that education is important and send your child. None of us. Once the cessation of hostilities and people have confidence, they will send their children to school without anybody telling them about. When I read what people write, I say, you see, people are dishonest. I use that word. I don't care the person hurt. They are dishonest. You cannot tell somebody to send a child. Do you know you love that child more? And when it comes to people who are not even married, they have no children. How can you be advising people who have their children? If the atmosphere is conducive, nobody would tell anybody to send a child. Were the people told in the past to send their children to school? But so long as the atmosphere remains as it is hypocrisy for anybody to talk about campaign for people to go back to school. If you are a parent and a judge that this school beside you, you can manage, let the child go there, because at short notice, it is for the parent to decide. It cannot be a general, decision.
And Human Rights Watch has once again laid its heavy hand on the government of Cameroon. That's regarding the security situation in the two English-speaking regions of the country. In its latest report this Monday, July 22nd, it accuses the Cameroonian security forces for killing at least 4 civilians and raped 1 woman since mid-June 2019 during security operation in the northwest and southwest regions. That those killed include an elderly man with a physical disability and a young man with a mental disability. To Lewis Modge, Central Africa Director at Human Rights Watch, the latest crimes add to a long string of abuses by the military, and that instead of seeing that justice is done, Cameroon's authorities refute their forces are killing and raping people, something which needs to be revealed to the world to watch. Human Rights Watch indicates findings are based on interviews conducted with witnesses, victims of family members, medical personnel, and other residents, that over 2,000 persons have been killed in the war and displaced millions of people. Human Rights Watch also says both Cameroonian authorities and separatists should stop abuses against civilians and strictly respect human rights law. The government, it urges, should immediately investigate these killings and all allegations of abuse, including unlawful and excessive use of force by its forces. Again, that it should permit human rights monitors to operate without hindrance and allow independent scrutiny of its efforts to adhere to international human rights law. Lewis Modge says security forces seem to have little fear of what will happen as they commit brazen crimes against civilians, and that the attacks only further entrench the perception that the government cares more about crushing dissent, will, or perceived than it does about protecting its people and ensuring justice. And now some Wimbum people in Douala and Boya think the Wimbum child should be sent to school come September 2019 as they pray for the end of the Anglophone crisis. They made their views during the gathering of the Wikuda, that's Douala Champions League in Douala, Littoral region. For me, Armstrong Sanda reports. We'll be coming back.
About leading to Besiawum village in Batibo subdivision is the statue of our longest serving phone, His Royal Highness von Richardson Batfokum II. Before disappearing, he stayed on the throne for 82 years. He is succeeded by His Royal Highness Bat Wilfred Fokum III. The phone was presented to his population, a presentation void of the usual supervision by administrative authorities. They were visibly absent. The absence, some critics say, is as a result of threats posed by the deepening Anglophone crisis. The effects of the war are felt too by those still in the villages. Their new ruler therefore has peace on his mind and calls on his population to embrace peace.
We join those who want peace, and that even there's a peace negotiation. We one of those to join so that there should be peace that will reign in Northwest, and basic people will come back. So I started right on the field by advising people to be in peace, loving, and most of them should be Christians. For when you are a Christian, you will not find faults.
During such events in the culture of the grassfield population, guns are fired by the men, a way of exhibiting strength. These days, the culture of gun firing during ceremonies in the Northwest region is dead. It has been killed by the socio-political tension.
And my father had liked gun shooting. He liked gun shooting. But with the political situation, you see, when no gun has gone, even though the population has come out, I still have some grief because at least gun shooting would have gone up.
Sons and daughters from far and near converged at the Besiawum Palace. They, who confirmed passing through over 8 Amazonian checkpoints and muddy roads, braved it to confirm their support to the newly found ruler.
The fund that is taking over now is an experienced, seasoned administrator who will continue from where the father left. So I'm confident that the village will be fine again. We'll continue in a good footing. Development, everything will go well. Education, as his father used to preach.
A number of cultural aspects of the grassfield are gradually being extinct as the conflict drags on. The new fund counts on the collaboration of other traditional rulers, quarter heads, sons and daughters of Besiawum and beyond to revive education, infrastructure, agriculture and other social amenities to better the situation of the Besiawum man under threat as the crisis escalates.
That was Wadambu Stella reporting there on the newly installed or enthroned fund of Besiawum in Batibo subdivision, calling on the people to join him to fight against insecurity and all acts of barbarism in the village and equally in the entire Northwest region of the country. And now efforts to empower entrepreneurs to better produce and equally generate income for the states are ongoing in the nation's economic capital, Douala. Cameroon's Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Social Economy, and the Handicraft equally had an exchange with partners, that was entrepreneurs, that was with the European Union partners, to empower entrepreneurs in Douala for better productivity. Hemin Iluga reports.
Its taxes offered within the Economic Partnership Agreement between the European Union and the Cameroon's Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Minister Achille Basile-Kintré and European Union's Hans-Peter Schadek exchange with entrepreneurs in Douala.
In a nutshell, I will say that over the last few hours, it was possible for us to clearly assess the difficulties confronting our small and medium-sized industries in this process, whereby we need to enhance their capacity to take advantage of the market access offer by the European Union under the Economic Partnership Agreements.
Some of them starting some 12 or 15 years ago, and
having today enterprises with more than 100 or 200 employees. So I think this shows that it's possible to succeed in starting a private enterprise and starting with a small enterprise and grow thanks to their dynamism and their ideas that they follow up.
The small and medium-sized enterprise sector, irrespective of such administrative initiatives, still faces setbacks. Questioned on this, the minister had this to say.
And we believe that having seen the various constraints that they face and having discussed with some of them, you need also to understand that there are some success stories that we had the opportunity to revisit. We believe that we are now going to move to another step in terms of strengthening the capacity of these institutions, assisting them, but at the same time also mobilize more and more resources to cater for their priorities.
Recently launched in Douala, the Center for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises aims at promoting the growth of actors in the sector as well as to facilitate the acquisition of investment capital.
Up next, the smart sides of AFCON 2019. And this is the last edition of the Smart Sites of AFCON 2019, and we are having Smanjukan Gabriel. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening to you, Innocent, and good evening to televiewers. As you rightly put it, it is the last time, maybe until 2021, if we shall be here. We shall also be giving information about the Nations Cup, but for now, it is history, and we're going to start straight away with Algeria. We already know Algeria were crowned champions. That was on Friday out there at the Egypt International Stadium. That is the Cairo International Stadium where that match was played. And it was CAF's president Ahmad who handed the trophy to Algerian captain Riyad Mahrez. And it was total jubilation among players of the Desert Foxes. We should recall that Algeria are picking up the title just the second time after they did that in 1990, and the trophy, as we know, Algeria won this trophy this time around without recording any defeat along the way from the group stages of the competition through the knockout phase. It was total victory, and even back at home when they arrived out there in Algeria, it was total jubilation as many fans turned out to welcome the newly crowned African champions, who are Algeria. Remember, they whisked this trophy away from Cameroon. Now, there were individual awards that were given. We begin with the best goalkeeper of the tournament that went to Algeria's Reyes Mboli, who actually conceded just 2 goals in the whole tournament. And talking about the best player of the competition this time around, another Algeria, he is Ismail Benacer. Ismail Benacer of Algeria won that award of the best player of the tournament. He took over from Christian Bassogok, who won the 2017 edition. Now, talking about the fair play team of the competition, is none other than Senegal, the Teranga Lions, who finished second in the course of that competition. Talking about the first 11 of the AFCON, we know we have a total number of 5 Senegalese: Youssouf Sabali, Khalidou Koulibaly, Lamine Gassama, Idrissa Ganagay, and Sadio Mane. A Tunisian, Yassine Meria, and 3 Algerians, Reyes Mboli, Riyad Mahrez, Ismail Benacer, and 1 Nigerian who is an attacker, Odion Jute Igalo, and the coach of the team of this first 11 for the 2019 AFCON is none other than Jamal Belmadi of Algeria, who won the competition. Talking about other facts that we gathered at the end of the competition, top assists, as we already have on our screens. The first was the best player of the tournament, Ismail Benacer, who had 3 assists, just like Ivorian striker Frank Casey, who also had 3 assists in the course of that competition. They topped that league. And talking about the goals, Algeria had a record competition. We have the top goal scorers. We had Odion Jude Igalo of Nigeria, who ended up the competition as top goal scorer, scoring 5 goals at the tournament. He became just one of those persons. He actually beat the record of Rashidi Yekini, who had scored 5 goals in a single tournament. So Odion Igalo made record. The rest ended on 3-3, as you can see on our screens. And talking about other records, Algeria, we should recall that Algeria scored in every game they played. They scored 13 goals, and it was a similar feat they did in 1990 when they won the last competition. And also, did you know that Kenya were the only team, talking about Kenya, they were the only team to record a comeback in the tournament after conceding first? Maybe you don't know that. And also, Madagascar is another side that left some history for us for you to know. Did you know that Madagascar have scored the most set piece goals? They scored 3 of them on set pieces. So Madagascar also created its own record. Now, talking about the AFCON itself in numbers, we have it there for you. We had a total number of 943 shots that we made, 102 goals were scored, 218 saves recorded, yellow card 174 of them, and red card 5. Penalties, we had 8. And to note that if you had to read through the goals that were scored per minute, you will see that in between 0 to 15 minutes, 37 goals were scored. 15 minutes to 30 minutes, we had 10 goals, and 30 to 45, we had 20, 45 to 18, we had 15, and 80, 60 to 75, 27, and of course that is how it goes. And just to tell us that the African Nations Cup recorded the highest goals that have ever been scored in a single competition, but we shouldn't forget that it was the first that was grouping a total of 24 nations. Now, we talk about other issues. Cameroon was also recognized at the end of that competition with the referees. Many are saying that it was a shame that Cameroon should be eliminated at the level of the 16 finals, and the referees brought glory to Cameroon. So Alium Sidi, who was the central referee, Mekwande Evaris, and Elvis Nupwe, all of them made Cameroon proud, making us being the ones who officiated at the finals between Algeria and also Senegal. Samuel Eto'o was also another person who brought some little glory on Cameroon. As you know, he was the one who handled the cup, the Nations Cup, and brought right up to the pitch. Remember, Cameroon won that competition. Many were asking that why is it that a Cameroonian player at the time of 2017 didn't handle it well? CAF should have a better reason for giving Samuel Eto'o that honor to bring the trophy to the pitch out there in Egypt. And finally, there's another thing, as here, to note that the Senegalese squad that came second, the president of the republic has handed each of the player a diplomatic passport. That is a passport that is commonly issued to diplomats and consul workers who are stationed abroad. So the Senegalese side all have been given a diplomatic passport for their wonderful exploits at the end of the African Cup of Nations. And we conclude, that is it from Egypt. CAF's president hands the flag to Seydou Bombo, who is the president of the Cameroon Football Federation. He is the one to control issues. So 2021, we are hoping that Cameroon will not be seen again, being the Nations Cup being withdrawn from their hands. We know this year it was Cameroon that was supposed to host. He went to Egypt. This time around, I've handed them a flag again. And maybe to conclude, to say that there are some rumors saying that the African Nations Championship Shan that Cameroon was handed, they withdraw that from Ethiopia. Cameroon is asking for more time to actually prepare for that competition. They are asking if the competition could be brought behind a bit. That is June, July of 2020. But we are still waiting. CAF is not yet on that issue for now. But we are already hearing some issues that they can host the tournament January and February. And we know we were saying that we were set to host the Nations Cup. So it is a test, a litmus test, as we usually put it, for Cameroon before the big event in 2021.
Exactly, Smart. We hope that 2021 be the due date for Cameroon.
We hope that 2021 June, July, we shall also be here to continue talking. We hope. So
we say see you in a year. Is it 2 years
after 2 years time?
Okay. It was so great to have you for the smart side of the AFCON 2019.
It was my pleasure serving the televiewers out there.
And we wish you the best. And to you televiewers, that's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Thanks so much for watching. Tomorrow is another day. Do have a splendid evening.